SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Feel like I should be doing some air boxing.
Setting you up, man, for the knockout.
I see that. You do realize I'm going to swing wildly and just hit myself right in the button and go down.
I thought it was appropriate for Knockout Friday with Dave Hughes.
Well,
no holds barred.
That's where we're at. Good luck. I wish everyone good luck. It's that kind of day because it's been that kind of week. How's your week been, buddy?
Oh, awesome. Plenty of news, and we had all the technical know-how to get it all done, put on great shows, have great guests, and, just getting it done, man. And it seems it was funny, I sent a list, it's seemingly never-ending type of list to Richard the other day with all of the, in line, pretty much every different issue that we just here in the state of Mississippi are dealing with. That didn't go into anything more domestically or even internationally. And that list went on and on and on. And I know he really enjoyed, and it was just just one word at a time, like this, nothing like sentences. So it was pretty exhaustive. So yeah, we got plenty to talk about, don't we?
Well, I mean, you say that, and it was limited to one word at a time, so you didn't have alcohol warehouse. You didn't have a lot of things that we're dealing with.
I did use ABC, though. That was
Okay, yeah, you can sneak around it that way,
I tried
guess.
To be creative in that, go with one word or at least like initials like that. But yeah, there's plenty to deal with, and it never seems to go away in that regard. So yeah, each week you basically got to go, hunt, kill, and skin the bear.
Yeah, and it just keeps growing and building and changing and morphing. And I would like, on behalf of everyone, to just say, knock it off. Stop. Can we have one solid news cycle? Not an entire day, just one news cycle where we just chill out. We sit at home and play Minecraft and go about our business.
Nope. I don't know, man. It seems there's just so much. I don't know if it's how it works with cycles. You go back into the 70s and in different times in history where you just seem to have a great, uproarious type of, political atmosphere across the globe, maybe. Yeah, and it seems that we're in that now. And then you have things that are commonsensical, like, voting and ID to vote.
Oh, buddy.
But
we're going to talk about that.
Can't really figure that one out.
Oh, we can. We just don't want to, apparently.
So you got a president who's got to use executive order potentially to get people to show an ID to vote. That's. But if you were going to snubble show in New York, you needed to bring that with you. So.
I would just like to point out, I don't think even Lance realizes he just said snubble show.
Oh, the snubble show? Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. Well, it's Friday, man.
Oh, no, it was great.
So much information, little time.
That, my friend, is called setting the tone for the show right there.
Exactly.
Very well done.
But,
I'm
that's
very
the way
proud
I feel.
of it.
And I don't know how you see it. I'd love your opinion. What are you thinking? I mean, when you look at all of the different topics and you look at everything, as a host of a show, how do you take the dart and hit the dartboard? I mean, what is it that you look for? Because there's so much. And I think it's fascinating, how we have to go about navigating that.
Well, the technical answer is you go through and you look for things that will have some legs. Mm-hmm. In other words, perfect example, UMMC, we'll talk about it again later. We'll mention it 2 or 3 times. Still closed today after the cyber attack, the clinics and whatnot, as they continue to work through that. And we're done. We don't know anything. There's not a lot of legs there. There's not a lot of meat there's plenty of meat on the bone, but you know what I mean in terms of conversationally. So there are some things you have to include for that reason. There are other things, the SAVE Act, I can do the entire rest of the show on this if you'd like. It's no problem.
Or
so that
the Hillary interview or deposition, whatever you want to call that.
It was closer to an interview, I think, and it was
she's very fun to listen to. I mean, I can imagine the conversations her and Bill have is probably mostly, him talking and then her talking back and them having a great conversation. No, I don't think that's actually what happens between those two. I mean, they don't seem like they would get along very well.
The most conversation I suspect that they have is when the newly hired housemaid shows up for the first day and Bill looks at Hillary and says, "Don't you have to go to the store for a while?
You need to leave for a minute."
Don't worry, you can come back. I don't know, tomorrow. That'd be fine. There's a lot of deep cleaning needs to be done. That entire thing. I'm sorry.
You think he has the dress? Do you think he has the dress like in a, like people would put their favorite jersey that was signed by the athlete, in their man cave? Do you think he has like the Monica Lewinsky dress in there?
Why isn't it in the Smithsonian?
Exactly.
That would be my question to that.
I got away with it, fellas. I was still president.
That was a good day.
That was a good day.
We're going to get into the Epstein nonsense a little bit later on because it's going to be, again, there's meat on that bone.
I have a question for you with that. And this is not to dismiss any of it because it's also bizarre, crazy, dark, weird, evil. But as many people who have touched the evidence and the data and everything over the many administrations, many handlers. I mean, do you fear that there's just stuff plugged in there at all? That maybe things have gotten slipped in to benefit this person or to hide something about that person? It seems to me it would be hard to verify all of it given how many people have touched it.
Well, here is the problem. To me, just in a nutshell. We'll get into more detail later, as I said.
We're hitting a 30,000-foot view right here.
Nobody approves of what happened. Everybody wants to see justice done. But again, I say, this has been going on for how many months now? A year? About the Epstein files. Got to release the files. Why haven't you released the files? Okay, we got files out. What's happened? What's happened?
Well, England is, Britain is throwing people in jail or trying to.
Trying to. We've got people resigning and going home who have so far still been accused of no wrongdoing, but their name appeared in the files. So obviously they're guilty. This is not productive, ultimately. Should we follow the thread through? Sure. Should it be headline news every day for a solid 12 months to keep everybody stirred up and distracted about this? No. In my opinion, no. It shouldn't. It's kind of like the Nancy Guthrie thing.
You're taking the words out of my mouth right there.
How many people have gone missing in the last month since she was taken that you haven't heard a word about? But we still, as of yesterday, it was headline news that they now have a video that a car passed by her house at 2:30 in the morning. They've got it on video. Oh, what a stunning piece of evidence. Thank you. After a month, that's what you've got. That whole thing still smells really, really off.
What to make of that thing? That's the strange one.
But we live in a society where everything that you're presented, everything that you're put in front of you, everything that you're told is the most important thing you can be focusing your time and energy on right now isn't. Yeah. The louder somebody tells you, you've got to pay, this is super important. You got to pay attention to this. We got to follow this. You got to watch this. Okay, what are you supposed to be looking at? Functionally, but you can't because all of your bandwidth is taken up with what they told you to pay attention to.
Well, it kind of goes back to, we haven't really heard much about Ukraine and Russia quite a while. I kind of keep up with it as much as possible, but that seems to hit the back burner, so to speak. And
it's been going on for what, 3-4 years?
4 years, yeah. Not much is happening other than people dying that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And, there's no territory that's actually been taken 100% other than what we've seen 2 years ago just about is incremental, and yet nothing. It's just kind of mired like World War I with the Eastern Front. It's like nothing's happening, and other than again people dying that shouldn't be.
we got 2 new videos from Savannah Guthrie this week about her mother, who disappeared basically a month ago and would die if she didn't have her medication within 72 hours. That's what we were told when she came up missing. Well, it's been a lot longer than 72, so I think we kind of all know where we're at if you were telling the truth the first time. In that same time period, how much have you heard about the fact that the budgetary office in Washington recalculated things and said the Social Security fund's going to run dry a year earlier than they originally said?
Sure, yeah. And I've
heard anything about that?
Yeah, I have. And it's funny, not many people mention that. But, I mean, there's a lot of people like me and you that have paid into that for a long time. It's supposed to be the social safety net. See what happens when you need to borrow your money from the government. That you
it's not going to happen. And I'm sorry.
They'll give it to you, but then there's a lot of conditions to it.
Yeah, it's a shell game.
Yeah.
At this point, it's a shell game because most people are never going to get back out of it what they have paid into it because you're paying to support other people.
Yeah, politicians.
That's an understatement of the year right there. All right. We're just getting warmed up. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. Next hour, Michael Guest, Congressman, will join us. Looking forward to that. Leah Ferretti going to join us as well in the 8 o'clock hour. Busy morning in front of us. Stick around. We're going to continue trying to warm up the engine and get ready to shovel some snow or snuffle some show.
Hey, I brought my IDs, brother. I brought my IDs.
Oh, well, good. Birth certificate, please.
From the Venable Glass.
Reaching across the state and across the aisle. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Bill Clinton song there.
Perfect. Mornings on Super Talk presented by the folks at Community Bank, where they're more than just a place to manage your money. They're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, they've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams, whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, all the way up to growing your business. They're here for you every step of the way. They're dedicated to their customers, which is you. It should be. They're committed to your success and always here when you need them. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC. You can go to communitybank.net to find out more information. We got off to a whale of a start, didn't we?
Yeah, we hit a few things.
Just a couple. There's plenty more coming, including...
We had some good weather, it looks like, pretty much around. I mean, other than a little bit of rain today on the coastal area, you got some showers and some thunderstorms today down there. Around 70% chance of the wet stuff, 62 degrees range, and then... that's through the evening, so probably woke up to some showers this morning, and then through Friday, probably up until about 9 a.m., be some patchy fog and maybe some showers and thunderstorms before the lunch hour. So I hope it burns off for you out there. But after that, it should start kind of becoming a little nicer, some little fog on the coast tonight. But the temps will be around 60s and 70s, so it should be very nice. And then Saturday night around 53. So one of those kind of pretty evenings on the coast Saturday night, 53, mostly clear. And then Sunday looks like it should be a very nice day on the coast as well. And then the Delta is just going to be nice, partly sunny. It'll be cold tonight around 47, but it's going to warm up to 77 tomorrow. And then Saturday night around 51. And then on Sunday, a high of around 77. So that'll give you a good outlook for the Delta over the weekend if everybody's out there having a good old time and getting some things done. And the Golden Triangle region, mostly about the same. It's going to be mostly cloudy through mid-morning, up to about 72 degrees today. Tonight, going to be cold, 43. Warms back up tomorrow to 75. A little cool again on Saturday night, around 46, but up to 76 on Sunday. It should be a nice little sunny weekend for the Golden Triangle area. And then up in the northern part of the state, should have some dense fog this morning. And that should start burning off as the sun comes up. Obviously, lows around 45 degrees up there this morning. Today about 72 in North Mississippi. And again, some dense fog before 9 a.m., so just be careful. And then Friday night, 47 degrees. Should be clear, though, and pretty. Saturday, gets back up to 74. And then Saturday night, 49 degrees, so not too bad. Sunday should be 66, partly sunny, and another pretty day with a little wind out of the northeast. So it gives us outlook for the state of Mississippi, and that should be a pretty nice little weekend around. You got any big plans or anything?
Not a one. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, that's the way I feel on weekends. Like, I'm not. I work on Saturday, Sunday. I do very little.
Let me tell you our biggest plan for the weekend at my house. This should tell you what kind of year it has been so far in 2026. We started the process yesterday. Today or tomorrow, we will finish taking our Christmas tree down.
Yeah.
It's been that kind of year.
Yeah, man. Well, don't get in a hurry now. There's no reason to.
Yeah, we may get it down before March, but it's going to be close.
If you make it before Easter, you're okay, I think.
Yeah, we got plenty of time there. I would like to point out that weather forecast, and it's going to be beautiful all weekend and the first part of next week. That bill may come due in a month because it sounds to me like March is coming in like a lamb, and you know the old expression. In like a lamb, out like a lion.
Yeah. I think we'll have if anything's an indication, the first day that it was 60 degrees after all the cold, there were flies everywhere. Mosquitoes everywhere. So that may be a sign that we might have a little bit of a warm summer because the bugs seem to be ready to go. They think that it's time.
Well, we've had plenty of mosquitoes. Wasps are out trying to find a new home build site. The ants have kicked into gear. The one that has surprised me in my house, we have a sudden infestation of geese.
Geese?
Geese.
Okay. In the house?
Or not in the house yet, but, if we're not quick enough to shut the door, that's possible. No, we'll have the dogs out in the yard, and all of a sudden, the first time it happened, it caught us so by surprise. First time it happened, I looked up to see if there was someone riding an old-timey bicycle honking its horn by the house. Yeah, that's what it sounded like. And then I realized, no, the dogs are looking up. Oh, yeah, hi, geese. Yeah. Just two of them. And they keep coming by 2 or 3 times a day. So I've seen
bizarre. More. Yeah, I don't have the geese yet, but I have seen a lot more military practicing flights around Jackson. Because, we have the air wing here, and you can see that there's some things going on as far as maneuvers and practice and hours. That kind of leads into, got a little bit of an issue over there in Iran brewing. I'm sure we'll get to that here in a little bit.
I hadn't noticed. Yeah. Really?
But before we do that, there are a couple of interesting things as far as birthdays and such that happened on this day. And one of those is Chelsea Clinton turns 46. The mediator, the communicator between Bill and Hillary, Chelsea Clinton, author, activist, and Clinton family spokesperson, and that's good for her. She did not have to deal with Whitewater and all of that stuff, so she's good to go. Timothy Spall, I don't know who that is, but Harry Potter, that's Mr. Turner. That should tell you how much about Harry Potter I know, but I know there's a lot of Harry Potter fans out there, so Mr. Timothy Spall, who is Mr. Turner, he's 69 years old today.
I'm going to tell you, I know about Harry Potter. Okay, I have a son that was addicted to Harry Potter as the books were. I stood in line at a book release for, I think it was the 3rd or 4th one, at midnight in Tennessee. We were on vacation, and he was like, I want to get the book. I was like, come on. Went and got it. I don't know who Mr. Turner is. Okay. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't either, but there you go. Then Kate Mara, House of Cards, The Martian, 43 years old today. Adam Baldwin, 64. He's an actor and a musician. Full Metal Jacket and Firefly, which one I don't really know that one. Elizabeth Taylor, who died in 2011. She would have been 94 years old today. Obviously, Cleopatra and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Well, I am. Let's see.
And a serial ex-wife.
Oh, yeah. She's perfectionist and ex-wifing. Josh Groban, musician, 45 years old. And let's see here. Bobby Valentino. Slow Down and Tell Me. I'm not sure who that is, but I'm sure folks do. Other notable figures that this day is important. John Steinbeck. He died in 1968. Author of Mice and Men and The Grapes of Wrath. 2 books I'm sure that most everybody had to read at some point in their life. Mice and Men, always a good one, though. I don't know, is that one that you enjoyed?
Yeah, it's not a bad book at all.
Other than The Rabbit, right?
Well, there are hitches in every giddy up. You just have to keep going on the ride.
Well, we got Ralph Nader, 92 years old, consumer advocate and perennial presidential candidate.
He's still alive?
Yeah, 92.
Okay.
Yeah. Gene Sazerain, he passed away in 1999, a golf legend. Everybody remembers Gene Sazerain. And then one of the greatest names of all time, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. He would be 219 years old today, but he passed in 1882, and he was a poet and famous for Paul Revere's Ride. So
that's how you know you have created something worth creating. Over 200 years after you were born, people still recognize your name. They still talk about you.
Well, and then you have this full story, when we go look at kind of the stuff that happens on this day. It says the first Mardi Gras celebration was held in New Orleans. Well, I believe in 1827 that would have probably been the first Mardi Gras celebration in New Orleans, because there were others that happened, as you well know, in other places like Mobile and the coast, and quite a few other that came before that, I believe. So New Orleans is not necessarily the first Mardi Gras celebration, if I remember, but in 1827, that was the one that was first in New Orleans. And let's see here. In 1869, John Maynard, he became the first African-American to make a speech before Congress. Having won the majority of the votes, he had a seat, and we can read his speech, actually. It's not something that I've done, but he demanded to be seated and was refused. But eventually was able to, read his speech there. So that was back in 1869. And let's see here. Not a ton of stuff. You had the 1933 Reichstag fire. That was always one that, kind of knew what happened there.
Yeah.
One of the...
it's not like the Library of Alexandria. We know exactly what happened there.
Precisely a month after Hitler was elected chancellor. And the Nazis blamed the communists, but it was widely believed a false flag operation. The building remained in its fire-damaged state until it was partially repaired in 61 to 64, and then finally completely restored from in 95 to 99. So there's some of the few things that happened on this day in history.
I've never seen reporting along these lines, but I would suspect when the Nazis made the announcement that it was the communists that had did it, they probably smelled like lighter fluid.
Yes. Well, and you got one other interesting thing on this day in 2018. Barbra Streisand revealed that she had her dog cloned not once, but twice.
Because why not?
Love that pooch. I loved it.
Yeah, and as a result, I'm going to make a genetic abomination of it. Perfect. I've seen too many sci-fi movies. I wouldn't do that. We continue on this Friday.
With Richard Cross. What's up?
Let's get the show going.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Not only do they not make music like this anymore, they don't dress for the videos like Robert Palmer did either. Welcome back, mornings on this Friday morning. Dave Hughes here as always. Before we go any further, I have to relay to you a post that Representative Nancy Mace put on X late yesterday. You ready for this?
Yeah.
She said, quote, "I want to thank my GOP colleagues for trusting me with a generous amount of time today to question Secretary Clinton on her ties to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. I am not suicidal. The tires on my car were recently rotated. All of my security cameras work." End quote. You gotta love that.
Yeah. Well, calling her Secretary Clinton, I mean, it's been a while, right? I get that if you're like vice president or the president, or you're like a retired judge, you refer to them as judge or president. But secretary, after you've been out of it forever, come on, just call her Miss Clinton. And
I noticed nobody ever refers to her as the former First Lady.
Exactly. Well,
she did that for 8 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, you would think that would take precedence.
She probably doesn't like that title.
Oh, no. Don't you know she's just as good as any man? Just ask her.
Well, she's simply irresistible, that's for sure.
Kind of like that boulder rolling down the side of the mountain toward the hapless village is irresistible. Same thing. I'm 51, just, get that out there. So the Clinton saga was really my childhood. It was the 90s. You heard of him over there in this place called Arkansas, and you heard about some things going on over there with this country boy that had been governor for a while. And then all of a sudden he's your president. And you're like, where did this guy come from? And it was kind of almost like the Obama, the invention of someone. You just all of a sudden here's this candidate that has a chance to win against people that have been doing this their whole lives, salty and very rich, and people that have great campaigns. They got this guy running something out of a 57 Chevy, and he wins. It was remarkable to me to see the rise of the Clintons, and then all of the scandal that followed with them. It just seemed to always have constant problems, and was that really the first president that was just seemingly embattled all the time with something that from the past or from the present that was always hanging over? I will give you 2 words in answer. Billy Beer.
Well, there you go. Yeah. James Carter.
If you were around for the peanut farmer, he did not have an easy time. It was not a good row to hoe. But I will say this.
Well, his wife did. She was good buddies with Jim Jones, so yeah.
Yeah, well, Kool-Aid's Kool-Aid. The thing with Jimmy Carter, and this is pretty much universally agreed, he was a much better former president than he ever was a president.
Yeah. It's an easier job.
Well, he did some good things. He built all the houses with the Habitat for Humanity. He did some unarguably good things. Once he was out of office. While he was in office, not really.
Yeah, he was a heck of a hostage negotiator, wasn't he? I think Dennis Rodman's better at it than he was. So
I think he's tried harder. It was just not pretty at all.
No.
But
and meant well. Honestly meant well. I know Jimmy Carter. I know the story a bit, but meant well, but just was not very effective. And, not a good one.
And, he was my favorite part of that whole story, and I think we've talked about this before. Jimmy Carter was not a huge proponent, not a big fan of nuclear power.
Mm-hmm.
What did he do in the military?
Well, be honest, what was it? Was he a Navy guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me look up his official title, because this is telling.
Yeah, let's see here. I'm working with you here as well. He was a Lieutenant James Earl Carter Jr., and specializing in submarines and nuclear engineering. Yes. Anti-nukes.
He worked on the prototype of the USS Seawolf, cleaned up a partial nuclear meltdown at Chalk River Labs in 1952, and is recognized as a pioneer in the nuclear submarine program. He was also a trained nuclear engineer.
He wanted that peanut oil.
But when he got into office, all of a sudden he didn't like it. Why? Because the Democrats didn't like it at that point, and you do what you're told.
Yeah. Well, again, his domestic policies were flawed, but when you look at the kind of way in over your head internationally, foreign policy was just way out of his league, especially when you were used to people that had, even though flawed, Kennedy and Nixon and Truman and all of them, the guys that came before, were much more formidable in the foreign policy world. And at that time in history, we were going through some things.
Well, there was a couple of things happening.
That really, exponentially affected his presidency.
And, as you move forward, we keep having the same things. I mean, am I talking about right now, or am I talking about during the Carter administration? There's turmoil in the Middle East. War could break out at a moment's notice. The price of oil is fluctuating in all directions at once. The economy seems to be doing horribly. No one has any idea of how this is going to end up. Which period am I talking about? you know, that we have really not much changed. Mm-hmm. And it's been that way the entire time. Was talking to my mother the other day, just a couple days ago. And she had seen a report on Facebook. On Facebook, sorry, had to get that out. That World War III was starting. And I'm like, nah, not exactly, no. So she called me all upset, all worried. My mother is 81.
Yeah.
Okay. And I said, no, there's stuff stirring up all over the planet, but World War III has not started. No. She said, well, I'm hearing horrible things. I said, Ma, I'm 58. I've been hearing horrible things for 58 years and counting now. Mm-hmm. We get so caught up in the day-to-day minutia and the fact that we're told that we should be in a state of near panic that we forget to look and see, well, has anything changed? Yeah, in a lot of categories, the answer is no.
Yeah, you know, the 70s is an interesting period. I know that was, I was born in 74, so it's not something that as a child I remembered the volatility of the 70s, but it was, you know, the bombings, the airplane hijackings. There were so many new things that were happening as far as fear. And I don't believe that we've ever really just put those aside. They just kind of continue to build on themselves. And it's almost like a story, you know, as long as there's fear out there to be peddled, there's plenty to peddle. Yeah. And most people are more than happy to sop it up. At the end of the day, though, yeah, I mean, there's obviously lots of tension. There are conflicts everywhere. And the one that seems to be, you know, bubbling the most right now, percolating, is the buildup of forces over there outside of Iran, and what will be the end game there. Many believe, well, Iran can't hang with the United States, but they could definitely inflict damage. Well, I mean, look at Ukraine. I mean, yeah, it is a similar situation. In my opinion, it's not a country you want to go trying to invade. But if that's what we end up doing, I'm obviously not the one in charge, but if anyone thinks that America's military power is just going to allow us to roll roughshod through Iran, I don't think that's happening. Okay,
it never works that way, and
it's just not going to happen.
I'm sorry, we have verifiable reports of things we don't understand flying in the sky. Everybody always says, oh, UFOs, that's crazy talk. Yeah, You've bought into the conspiracy theory veneer that's been placed over the fact that there could be another country on planet Earth that's way ahead of us and we just don't know it yet.
Yeah, and just not forget about the vehicles that were flying around all over the East Coast up there, what, a year or two ago?
Yeah, well, it was all over the world.
Yeah, all over the world, but especially in our airspace. And those things were unknown, unidentified, and no one ever said, yeah, this is what it was. It just went away. You know,
did you know? Here. Speaking of that, did you know that yesterday they shut down the airspace around El Paso again?
Uh-oh. Yeah, see.
Once again said it was going to be 4 months. Yeah. We'll see. Last time they said that, and it was 8 hours. But Fort Hancock over there, the airspace has been closed over Fort Hancock for 2 weeks now. Mm-hmm. They hadn't said anything about that. Supposedly this time they closed it because a military laser defense system once again shot something down, and this time they're saying it was a Customs and Border Patrol agency drone that they shot down. So now they've shut everything down again.
So we don't really know what we're shooting down.
There's a lot of smoke out there for there to be no fire at the moment. So we'll see. But if you're flying into El Paso, pack your UV blocker glasses. You don't know what's going to hit you. It's the best advice I can give you.
Or your amber visions, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, now
that's
then you'll just see the laser more clearly as it's coming in.
A little yellow tint to it.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's going to be helpful. What will be helpful is what's about to hit your bank account if you get the right numbers in the Mississippi Lottery. We're going to talk about money in your pocket coming up next. Keep it here.
from the Venable Glass Track.
Grab another cup of coffee and start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross here on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Just between the Powerball and Mega Millions, we've got $700 million up for grabs in the next 36 hours in drawings with the Mississippi Lottery. We will start with Mega Millions because the drawing is tonight. $458 million, the estimated jackpot, estimated cash value, $212.4 million. I would suffer through having $212.4 million. I might tip someone the $0.4 million. Powerball, which we'll draw next tomorrow night, the estimated jackpot, $238 million. Cash value, $110.9. You add in the $16.5 million estimated for Lotto America. The $1 million in the Millionaire for Life that's going on right now every day. They're drawing numbers every night. And if they draw yours, you get $1 million a year for life. The winning numbers on that last night, by the way, were 3, 14, 22, 50, 57, and 4 for the numbers. But let's talk about the Lance Tolbert game because it is due, buddy. I don't know if you've been keeping up with this.
Oh, yeah, it's coming around.
$590,000 on the Mississippi Match 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, somebody's going to be very, very happy. Very
but
soon, I think.
Listen to this. The winning numbers from yesterday, 2, 3, 4, I'm noticing a pattern, 7, and 24.
Yeah, I mean, I can't, I'm one of those that there's no way that I would pick the right numbers. I just have to do the random generator.
Yeah, well, that's what I do. I'm going to be honest. That's what I do because I don't trust myself.
Exactly.
I know I'm going to have every number exactly one off from the winning number, and then I'll have a lousy weekend. I'll go through 6 cans of whipped topping.
Diana Winnie's and whipped topping, cheese.
Cheese. Yeah. Well, I'm going to go through a ton of cheese no matter what. I'm just, my cholesterol is not nearly high enough. I work on it on a daily basis, and cheese is my
the canned cheese
of
will
choice.
help, yeah.
Oh, that squirt cheese is good stuff. That's addictive. It really is.
Put it on anything.
I'll just grab a block of cheddar and no, I don't pick it up and take a bite out of it like an apple. I do cut some off, but block of cheese doesn't last long in my house is what I'm saying.
It is funny. It's the same way. Cheese, that goes the fastest. I'm a junkie with like Ritz crackers and cheese in the microwave. Like make your own little, redneck pizza. That's one of my favorite things. It's just to lay out the Ritz crackers and put the cheese all over it and microwave it till it's just absolutely about fried. Then you get your own pizza.
The Millionaire Makers game, Kosciuszko, and the city of Macomb City, $1,000 winners in each one of those. Hattiesburg man won $1,000. That was on Match 5. So even if you don't win the jackpot, you can still put some buckos in your pocket.
I don't think we've had one of the Millionaire Maker winners yet, have we?
I don't think so.
I'm looking forward to that one. That's going to be a party for somebody.
That is going to be a big deal. And at that point, what do? Do you sit back and you patiently wait, or do you want to get a good head start and you go borrow some money against the first few years?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, right? I mean, if you interest rates being kind of low and all that, and you got this promise here that's going to be good as gold saying, hey, we're paying you $1 million a year for the rest of your life.
What you got on
a little money?
Yeah, it's you're going to be faced with a lot of tough choices, but they're a different class of tough choices.
It's like, how many times do you want to say no?
Yes, it's going to be a horrible life. It really is. And I hate that you're going to have to go through it if you won, but I'm pretty sure you're going to stand up under the pressure. It'll be no problem. Mississippi Lottery, go get your tickets. If you don't have a ticket, you can't win. It's been scientifically proven over and over and over. So go get those tickets and give yourself a shot at a ton of money. And then you can get the Mississippi Lottery app. You know, I told you a few weeks back my wife had the app and thought it was great, because you can check the winning numbers, you can do all the stuff. She was still entering the tickets that didn't win in the second chance drawing by hand, one at a time. I said, you do know you can just scan those tickets in and it'll enter it into the second chance drawing for you right there on your account. She said, are you sure? I said, go look. Like 2 minutes later, I hear from the living room, holy cow, you can! So that's one of the many features on the Mississippi Lottery app. Go check it out. Go grab it. You cannot actually play the lottery on the app. If you downloaded one that's trying to sell you something, you downloaded the wrong one.
Well, there's one interesting tidbit here. $1 million in U.S. $100 bills fits into one small to medium-sized suitcase or briefcase. The cash weighs approximately 22 pounds or 10 kilos and occupies about 0.5 cubic feet. Just in case you need to put $1 million in a briefcase, you can do that, and it's about 22 pounds. So,
I don't think anybody has ever pointed out to me before how much $1 million weighs.
Yeah, I've just found that anyway. You got $1 million for life.
Now that's in $100 bills.
Yeah, in hundos.
If you get it in fives, it's going to weigh a bit more.
Yep.
You're going to need 2 suitcases and help. I'm available, by the way. News on the way next here on.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Take a deep dive into the news and debates driving the day, all on your ride to work. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi Mornings, and this hour is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business, it's not easy. If you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a full range of employer services and a custom plan that fits you and your business. You can call today at 601-206-7966, or you can just visit MWGEmployerServices.com. It's easy to use, which means it's easy to improve your business. They'll help you out in ways you can't even imagine. Coming up in the next segment, we have Congressman Michael Guest going to join us. I was joking with Alex yesterday. We were texting back and forth about some things, and she said, oh, by the way, Michael Guest is going to be on with you in the morning. And I said, oh, man, that's a shame. There's nothing going on in Washington for us to talk about right now.
Oh, no, not at all.
There's some frustrating stuff happening in Washington.
You could say that again.
Here is the one that's really kicking me in the craw. The entire thing with the SAVE Act. We have been hearing for how long now, for decades, literally, that you have to have 60 votes to get something passed in the Senate. That's not true. We have cloture, which it takes 60 votes to break a filibuster. The problem is, by consent, basically, they have gone to a silent filibuster, a zombie filibuster. You don't have to talk. You can go home and take a nap. But you're still holding the floor and preventing the vote, and the only way to break it is with 60 votes. You can also just declare that you're going to do a talking filibuster, which means they have to stand up there and talk continuously until everybody has had a go. And once everyone has had one turn, you're done and the vote happens, and then it's a simple majority. That's it. That's in place right now. You don't have to go do anything special. You don't have to pass anything. You don't have to make a big deal about it. That's in place right now. You can do it, which means all John Thune needs to do in the Senate is declare that's how they're going to hold the vote on the SAVE Act, and it gets passed. It'll take a minute. It'll take a minute because, well, I say that Chuck Schumer and a lot of the Democrats in the Senate are like, 112? So they're not going to be able to go forever talking. But this is not an insurmountable problem. This is not something that's going to be the end of all life as we know it if we don't follow the rules we've been following. Just like most rules, they're made up. They're made up, agreed upon rules. The other rules, which were previously made up and agreed upon, are still there. We could use them. Why don't we? Especially for this. Especially for the SAVE Act. We have a very simple thing, and we saw it at the State of the Union address on Tuesday night when President Trump asked everyone to stand up if they believed that their job was to protect American citizens and not immigrants and foreign people, and all the Democrats sat there and stared at him. Didn't clap, didn't move, didn't do anything. Made it crystal clear where they stood on that issue. What do you think's going to happen if they get control, and sooner or later they will, of everything in Washington again? What do you think's going to happen then?
It goes backwards.
We all know exactly where it's going to go because we just came from there under Biden. We know what's going to happen. So to make sure it's fair, and don't misunderstand me, if we make it to where you have voter ID, which I would like to point out we have in Mississippi, and it works spectacularly. We do a great job of that. Michael Watson, his staff over there, they do an incredible job of managing elections every time. This year will be no exception. Next year as well. But you have to show ID when you go to the polls to vote. This is not the problem that the people that are desperately hoping we never put this into place nationally want you to think it is.
I mean, the reality is it'll go backwards, and if you want to see what it looks like, I mean, just look at California. I mean, that's a good example. Look at Minnesota. I mean, that's where you're going if we go back, if the Republicans have a terrible midterm and you start creeping back to what we just got out of. 8 years of Obama, 4 years of Biden with a Trump mixed in. A lot of folks call this Trump derangement syndrome, but it's been going on longer than Donald Trump was president. If you go back to the Obama administration, you saw the beginning phases of this lunacy, in my opinion, and it's just been, tripled down, doubled down, quadrupled down to fun. And the Republicans have not really helped themselves much, it seems, in being able to, with the power, get much done.
Well, no, we've gotten very little done. Very, very little. Scant few things have been accomplished. We've done a lot of talking, but not as much as actually happened. And I'm going to be honest, and we've got a representative guest on with us. The House is not necessarily the problem here. The Senate just keeps ignoring things that the House passes and sends over. But I'm glad you mentioned Minnesota. New information out. The Minnesota Department of Human Services, the repayments from the federal government to Minnesota for autism programs in the state. You ready for this? In 2017, they got back just over $1 million, $1,099,000. 2018, this is when Tim Walz took over, by the way. 2018, it went from $1 million to $6.1 million. By 2019, it went to $20 million. It increased every year, and in 2024, the federal government repaid Minnesota $343 million in reimbursements for autism programs. There is not a person in Minnesota not spinning in their office chair right now, apparently.
It sounds like they have a lot of autism, too, huh?
It sounds like they got a lot of fraud, is what it sounds like.
That's where I was going with that, yeah. Fraud isn't fraud if you just put a medical term on it or whatever else, or you put Leering Center. It's not fraud then when you're, not educating kids.
Once by using fear and using other things, you have trained the general populace to just listen to what you say and believe it. You can say anything as an excuse and get away with whatever you're doing.
That's the world, isn't it, that we live in, especially?
Yes.
You hear, and again, I kind of go back to, California. They just put a guy that has how many? Let me get the facts here. David Allen Funston, 64 years old, kidnapping and child molestation, sentenced 3 or 4 different life sentences consecutive. And he's paroled. Gavin Newsom sent it back to the parole board. Said, no, this guy's good to go. Parents, this kid had I can't remember how many counts of 16 counts, I believe it was, of predatory, kidnapping, child molestation. Yeah, this guy's going to get out and walk in the streets.
Well, because you need to have a heart. You need to make sure that you care for these poor people. I mean, those mean old victims, if they hadn't turned him in, he'd be living a happy, productive life, still kidnapping people. But no, we had to interfere with his American dream. There are so many people that need to be introduced to Mr. Baseball Bat, in my opinion.
This guy sounds to be one of them.
And the people that have the opinion I just jokingly talked about, they're next in line.
And that's the problem with a lot of this, too. If we don't get serious about voter ID, things of that nature, this is what you're voting for if you are against knowing who your leaders are, knowing who's voting, knowing who's in your country.
Here's one thing I want to get to very quickly here. The Daily Wire sent some reporters to George Washington University in Washington, D.C., to ask the students as they walked by for their opinion on the State of the Union address. Said, hey, it was last night. What'd you think? All of them blasted it, said President Trump wasn't articulate. He was all over the place. One woman ranked on a scale of 1 to 10, gave it a 0, said it was horrible, said it was awful. The problem is they were asking them this on Monday. Mm-hmm. The State of the Union was Tuesday night. It hadn't even happened yet. Yeah. One woman told them she watched part of it and couldn't take it and just turned it off. Oh. Nobody knows what she was watching.
And neither does she, apparently.
No. But that's where we're at. If you train people to just take what you tell them and embed it as part of their being, then they will act on it and they will be stupid.
There's a good article, and I haven't had time to go through the whole thing yet, on Epic Times regarding exactly what you're talking about and how the narrative is really controlled through headlines and not substance.
Everyone who is opening their mouth to talk, with very few exceptions, and I proudly claim one of those spots for myself, but most everybody that's talking to you, they have one goal. It's not to get something good to happen. It's not to open your eyes. It's not to help you out. It's not to help the country. It's to make sure as many people as possible agree with them. And that's it. That's the goal. And that's not productive. Certainly not helpful. At least we have a breath of fresh air in that regard. Representative Michael Guest joins us. The Congressman will be with us right after this short time out on mornings here on Super Talk. Keep it here.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
From Duck Hill to Alligator, Mississippians start their day the right way. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk, Mississippi, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net, where you go to find out more. And joining us now, he is the representative from the 3rd District of the great state of Mississippi, Congressman Michael Guest. Joins us. Congressman, how you doing this morning?
Great. Good morning and happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. I'm pretty sure you're going to be happy to see this particular week come to an end because it's been busy.
It has been, but look, it was a good week. The State of the Union, particularly when President Trump delivers that address, it's always great to be in the chamber. I've had the opportunity to see State of the Unions under Donald Trump and Joe Biden both, and I tell you, it's night and day. I thought the president did a great job Tuesday night. I agree with his assessment that the State of the Union is strong. And not only did I agree with the policies and the accomplishments that the president laid out, but it was also amazing just to be in the chamber, to get a chance to see the hockey team that won the gold medal the weekend before this past weekend over Canada in that dramatic overtime win, the first gold medal win for the men's hockey team since the Miracle on Ice 1980, to have them come into the chamber and us to have the opportunity to cheer for their success. Then to have not one but two individuals presented the Congressional Medal of Honor during the State of the Union, the helicopter pilot who flew the mission in Venezuela that resulted in the capture of Nicolas Maduro, and then a 100-year-old former Air Force pilot who flew in both Vietnam and also flew in the Second World War, and then to see the individual from the National Guard who was shot when he was patrolling D.C. To be presented the Purple Heart. So those were really several amazing moments, 4 amazing moments that were spread out throughout the president's speech. So it was, at least for Republicans, it was an exciting week, a very motivating week as we continue to work hard for the American people.
Now, and I have to say, I got a little choked up. Royce Williams was the 100-year-old veteran that received the Congressional Medal of Honor. It was refreshing to see the majority of the floor give him a standing ovation when he received it, because I can't envision anyone seeing that and just sitting there with a sour face. But that's what the Democratic side of the chamber seemed to do for most of the night.
You're right. There were a few moments of bipartisanship. You mentioned that. We also saw when the hockey team, when they were introduced, you saw pretty much every individual throughout the chamber. But the majority of the night, the Republicans would stand in support of the president. The Democrats refused to do so. Even during that crucial question when the president asked everyone in the chamber, do you support and will you fight to protect Americans over immigrants? And we saw that not one Democrat stood, one Democrat applauded. Again, I think it kind of goes to show the divide in Congress that, not only are Republicans wanting to work to make the economy better, to secure the border, to deliver on the president's priorities, but we have a Democratic minority who is doing everything that they can to thwart the president's agenda. And I think that was clearly on display Tuesday night.
And I have to wonder how much of it is a disagreement on the policy and how much of it is just, if President Trump came in and said breathing air is good, they would immediately call a press conference on the Democratic side to tell everybody to stop breathing because Trump said to.
I think a lot of it is probably the latter. Trump made the statement last year when he delivered his joint address to Congress, that if he were to have come in and miraculously cured cancer, that the Democrats would be opposed to that because it happened under his watch and they would not want him to get credit for that accomplishment. So I think there is a lot of that. I think, that Trump derangement syndrome that you hear talked about, I don't know that it exists all over the country, but I can tell you it exists in Washington, and there is a hatred on the left of President Trump, of what President Trump is trying to do, and they are actively opposing him every opportunity that they have. And so, and again, on display Tuesday night, as we saw that, as the president talked about, the president brought up, and he talked about the economy at the beginning of the speech. He brought up some very, I think, good data points. As we look at the economy, he talked about inflation being down, interest rates being down, mortgage rates being down, fuel prices, particularly gas, being down. He talked about the stock market being up, GDP being up, the announcement of future economic development in the United States being over $10 trillion, the trade deficit down. So the president brings up good economic points. things that you would think all Americans would be supportive of that. Again, not one Democrat applauded the president for those accomplishments. He talked about the border being secure. He talked about the fact that we had more Americans working today than ever before, that violent crime was down, that Americans were now safer today than they had been in decades. Those are great accomplishments that impact all Americans, that impact Republicans and Democrats, something that we should all be proud of. But yet we saw that none of the Democrats wanted to give the president any recognition for those accomplishments. And again, it just goes to kind of show a broader sense of the division within our country.
I got a question for you, and this is you guys have kind of done your job on this already. The SAVE Act. I know it's in the hands of the Senate. What's the scuttlebutt you're hearing? Are we actually going to have a shot to get this passed and require voter ID to vote?
You know, ultimately, I think that decision is going to be John Thune is going to have to make the decision that he is willing to move the filibuster from the filibuster as it exists now, which is just a voting filibuster, back to what the filibuster originally was at one time, which was a talking filibuster. There has been a request made. Pressure may not be the right word, but we believe as Republicans that the SAVE Act is extremely important. Proving proof of citizenship at time that you register to vote, we think is important for election integrity. Showing a voter ID like we do in Mississippi is important for election integrity. Currently, 35 states, including many Democrat states, require individuals to show a photo ID at the time in which their vote is cast. So this is not a new idea. Voter ID has been around since 1970. And we as Republicans think that is important. What John Thune is going to have to do to advance that is he is going to have to change the filibuster rule, and he's going to have to revert back to the old filibuster rule, which says it is a talking filibuster. And that's what we used to see in the movies where and we've seen it fairly recently where we've had members who have stood there on the floor of either the House or the Senate and have spoken for hours at a time. If we can revert back to the old rule, we have an opportunity to get that passed. But this is going to be a decision that John Thune and the Republican majority is going to have to make. I believe that the Mississippi senators would be supportive of that change. But it's going to require a rule change in the Senate. And look, we've got to get this done before now in November. And so time is ticking, time is of the essence, and we need to continue to work to move the SAVE Act. So when we have our elections in November, we have safe elections, we have fair elections, and we have the election integrity and the confidence in elections that all Americans deserve.
Just out of curiosity, what would be the reason to not go back to the talking filibuster? That's the part that confuses me, Congressman. I can't quite figure that out.
You know, the things in the Senate are based on tradition, and I don't serve in the Senate. In the House, we routinely change our rules, routinely change our process. That for us, change is not something that is frowned upon in the House. But the Senate does so many things based on tradition. When you ask people, well, why does the Senate do things this way? You kind of get the old answer, well, that's the way they've always done that. And I think that's the way that the Senate has always conducted business. They are hesitant to go back to the way that the filibuster was originally envisioned. And look, you know, this is important because the time in which Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House, we know that we have those both chambers of the legislative branch. We have the executive branch till at least the end of this year. And the concern is that if we don't pass this legislation before November, we're going to see the possibility of cheating, of fraud in our election process. And that could, in a very narrowly divided House and Senate, that could determine the majority of one of those chambers. So I think the time to act is now.
This segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Good morning, Mississippi. You're starting your day off right. Welcome to Mornings with Richard Cross here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. But they fought with expert timing.
Little breaking news as we come back here on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Thanks again to Representative Michael Guest. Always enjoy talking to him. He's up in the thick of things, as you could tell, and knows exactly what's going on. Knows the lay of the land, if you will. This morning, the State Department has issued an order evacuating non-emergency government personnel from the embassy in Israel. That's always good news.
Yeah, that's just not a drill here.
No, they're citing safety risks amid the growing tensions with, of course, Iran. That's the topic of everybody's thing. They specifically, the wording that Mike Huckabee used in the email he sent out, he is the Israeli ambassador, sent it to every embassy employee in Jerusalem, telling them that anyone wishing to leave should book any available flight and leave Israeli soil before the end of the day. They have shifted to authorized departure status, meaning that the government will pay for non-essential personnel and their families to evacuate. And then it says, no need to panic.
Yeah.
That's helpful. New York Times got their hands on that email. That's why we know about this. It has been rumored for a while that sometime the first part of March we could see something happen.
Yeah, we're there, man. That's Saturday, right?
That's Sunday.
Sunday,
actually.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Tomorrow's the tail end of February. I would say this, though, that those rumors are just that, rumors. They're best guesses because no one really knows. The only person that would know when or if we're going to launch an attack on Iran is President Donald Trump. And as he has said multiple times, he hasn't made up his mind yet. So anything else you hear is kind of a guess. But the safe money is looking more and more like it's going in that direction because Mike Huckabee didn't wake up this morning in Jerusalem and say, I think today's a good day to send out an email and scare the pants off everybody.
Yeah, and then the cost of that, too. I mean, very, very hard to probably put a finger on. But, shutting down basically your embassy, all your personnel, sending them home. I mean, that's not free, Folks got to get paid and whenever you have an embassy or the diplomatic mission is closed, that they're serious about that stuff. That's not a joke.
The State
Get
Department,
out of town now.
The State Department, in a release about this, said that persons may wish to consider leaving Israel while commercial flights are available.
Well, that was my question. What happens if you get stuck? I mean, obviously, over the years, they've had to chopper and take the transports out, but it would seem that would be on the table out of the gate. Like, go hop on a military transport and get somewhere other than there.
Completely different situation, different circumstances. But there's a whole bunch of people in Puerto Vallarta, or however you say it, in Mexico that you could ask that same question to. They left a bunch of them standing on the runway when the last flight took off because it was crammed full. Because it's pure chaos down there with the drug cartels who have basically declared war against the Mexican government.
And everybody else, too, I think, yeah.
Yeah, well, just in general. They have yet to figure out that if you keep killing people, you're going to run out of customers, dingbat. This isn't difficult math.
After the capture and passing of their fearless leader, they started. I think they basically decided just to get high on their own supply.
Well, they decided that it was now no longer a battle for business. It was a war of survival. That's the shift that was made mentally and emotionally by the cartels down there, as much as emotion plays a part in it.
The area that is under such scrutiny is the area that I actually lived in when I was down there.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's a very, I would put it this way, rural, mountainous. Is the further west you go, the less connection the Mexican government actually has with the people. And it's a unique country in that there's so many different demographics, I would say, of what and who the folks and the locals attach themselves to, whether it be more of the indigenous population or whether it be the kind of Spanish side of it, or a lot of them love the French and Italian. I mean, it's a really interesting country with multiple appreciations of different culture, and regionally it sticks in that way. And that whole western side is extremely mountainous. It's hard to get to, and for pretty much the history of that country has been fairly separatist. That's the El Chapo area, Sinaloa, the mountainous area, down to Guadalajara, through Michoacan, down to Oaxaca and Guanajuato. So it's extremely beautiful, but it's also rugged. Nothing like you'd see in Afghanistan or anything, but the tropical trees, the difficulty in maneuvering makes it almost impossible for the Mexican government to exert control in those areas. And that's what you see.
Hence, we are now where we're at. We had a plane that left Miami, went to Medellin, and landed with a bullet hole. Yeah. They're having big troubles down there. As you know, I took my wife and we went to Medellin a couple of years ago, spent a week down there, had a lovely time, fantastic people. It was a different time a couple of years ago than it is now. But at least we did get to go, and my wife got to drink a mysterious green liquid out of a fish aquarium strapped to the back of a guy's bicycle over in the downtown square.
And she's still with us.
She said she yearns for it. I wonder what the additives were. But
what was that stuff?
Yeah, she still talks about it to this day. She was thirsty. It was hot. You're up in the Andes. There's not much humidity. You dry out quickly. And this guy comes riding by, and she says, "Ooh, I want to try that." And I said, "It's your funeral, okay?" And went from there. But in just a short amount of time, things have changed fairly drastically south of the border.
Yeah, the guy that was the movie that remember A Man on Fire with Denzel Washington and Dakota Fanning.
Yeah,
the guy that was in charge of that operation, The Voice, I think was his name. They captured him while I was there, and that movie was made based upon that. And the level of corruption with government and the participation in that kidnapping ring. We call it a sequestrador down there, which is almost a passion and a pastime of kidnapping. That's what sequester means. But there were thousands of people involved in that ring and billions of dollars. It was absolutely one of the craziest things. And I remember it being covered on the news as I was starting to kind of be able to process Spanish in a much more rapid pace, listening to the news. And I'm going, what in the world are they talking about? And the family I lived with, we were all sitting around it, and they always come home at lunch. And you have about a 3 or 4 hour lunch and hang out. Yeah. And it's very familial and very cool.
Siesta time.
Yeah, siesta. And a lot of times they just break down into pajamas and sit around smoking reds and, drinking coffee. It was just interesting. But I remember with Guillermo Arteaga came on the radio, on the TV and was going through this. And I remember needing a little help in the translation. And they're like, yeah, this dude basically that's been kidnapping folks forever, is kind of a pastime around here. They finally caught him. I'm like sitting there going, what are you talking about again?
Wait,
a kidnapper?
Run that word pastime
past me again. It's like bullfighting. And basically this guy had been doing this for so long. This has been going on since, this was in the late 90s when I was there. That individual and his group had a pretty good grip on things for a decade or so. Well, so you just saw it kind of, once those things break down, they found another mechanism, which is obviously the trafficking side.
You look at how quickly things have deteriorated south of the border. You look at this notice that was sent out today to the people, the Americans working at the embassy in Jerusalem, in Israel, telling them, get out today. By the end of the day today. They specifically said by the end of day Friday. While commercial flight, the high-placed people seem to think something's about to happen.
Yeah, I mean, a probability, I would think that, you don't maneuver all of these assets into place and place them at great risk as well from getting attacked if you do not believe something is coming, and you need that kind of force in such a tight area. I mean, because definitely Iran has the capability of hitting, our stuff that's sitting over there.
You've got to remember something else, because this is a game that operates on multiple levels. They just had nuclear talks yesterday, and both sides said they went pretty well between the U.S. and Iran. This move, this message that was sent out, the evacuation of U.S. personnel from Israel, could be being done as just one more sign of how serious we are about what we're going to do if an agreement is not reached.
Oh, yeah, I think you're exactly right. I mean, Trump playing his cards. He definitely is.
We need a new scabbard. Our swords are rattling again.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break, hose the studio down because it's that kind of day, and then we'll continue on mornings live on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the Venable Glass Traffic Center, I'm Patty Steele. Venable Glass in Ridgeland and Brandon, locally owned and operated with free mobile service for you in the Tri-County area. Traffic still moving smoothly. We are all clear right now with no accidents or major congestion. Traffic brought to you by River Trust Federal Credit Union. With early direct deposit from River Trust, your paycheck arrives up to 2 days early. Fast, simple, and free. And if you're not a member, you can visit rivertrustfcu.com or call to get started today. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Poly-Up of Mississippi, a division of Ewing and Ray, is in the business of helping customers lift settling driveways, sidewalks, curbs, and pool decks. We are here to help you remedy your drainage problems and trip hazards. Our Poly-Up process at Poly-Up of Mississippi will lift your concrete sidewalks or driveways to safe conditions for typically half the price of replacement with little to no loss of use. Contact us today by visiting polyupofms.com. That's polyupofms.com, or by giving us a call. Poly-Up of Mississippi, we lift concrete with foam.
Hey y'all, this is Parker Evans with First South Farm Credit in Oxford. Here at First South, we specialize in financing rural real estate. Whether it's a 1,000-acre hunting camp in the Delta or your own small piece of paradise anywhere in North Mississippi, we can make a customized loan package for you. First South offers long-term financing with competitive interest rates to fit your needs. So whatever your land financing needs may be, call me, Parker Evans, at First South Farm Credit, 662-234-5015, or find us online at firstsouthland.com.
At Fillmore Buick GMC, we strive to make buying your next vehicle easy and take care of you long after you drive off the lot. That means upfront and honest pricing, doing everything we can to make the time you spend in the dealership as short or as long as you need. It means we understand that purchasing a vehicle is more than just a transaction for you. We want you to enjoy the experience as much as we appreciate your business. Find your next Buick, GMC, or pre-owned vehicle at FillmoreBuickGMC.com. Fillmore Buick GMC. You drive everything we do.
Russell Williamson here, CEO and owner of Rope Solutions, rapidly optimizing performance and efficiency. Comprised of special operations veterans, we utilize the same tactics and techniques used to build the world's most elite teams. And now we bring that to your organization to improve safety and increase performance. And we encourage you to tune in to Forging Alliances on SuperTalk 103.3 FM every Monday at 1 p.m. to hear our story and those of other great veterans local to this community. You can also live stream or listen to the podcast series on supertalk.fm/Meridian.
Why trust Coleman Taylor Transmissions to repair your transmission?
We want the customer to feel comfortable when this process is done, whether they need a transmission repair or not. They have full control of the situation. So they can take their vehicle somewhere else, they can have us fix it, but they can drive their vehicle away if it's drivable. We're trying to just have an honest assessment of their car and them be able to make a decision without feeling locked into anything.
Call Coleman Taylor Transmissions today at 601-355-8526 or go to ColemanTaylorJacksonMS.com.
direct from President Trump.
Send Cindy Hyde-Smith back to the United States Senate.
Trusted by President Trump. Trump says Cindy Hyde-Smith is 100% MAGA, 100% conservative.
Everybody really respects her, really likes her. Special woman.
And he stood with Cindy every step of the way. Trump said it himself. Cindy's been with us from the very beginning.
Cindy Hyde-Smith, she's incredible. She's tough and smart and strong, and she's with us all the way.
Backed by Trump.
My complete and total endorsement.
Because President Trump knows she will never let you down. Cindy is fighting hard to secure our border, grow the economy, and defend our always under siege Second Amendment.
Cindy Hyde-Smith, fantastic woman.
Vote for Cindy Hyde-Smith in the Republican primary, March 10th.
I'm Cindy Hyde-Smith, candidate for Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Cindy Hyde-Smith for U.S. Senate.
Go beyond the headlines on Middays with Gerard Gibbert. Weekdays 10 to 1 here on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Want to know what's being said in the halls of the Capitol? You're in the right place. Mornings with Richard Cross continues on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Minute it's been since I've heard this is smoking hot. Man.
El DeBarge, man.
You
Come on.
dug all the way to the bottom. Whatever happened to the DeBarge?
I have no idea. I mean, that's a great question. But was pretty hot at one time. You know?
He was.
Yeah,
He was burning hot, and then
only the hits today, man. You know, it's just hits.
I see that. It's getting weirder and weirder.
Well,
I like
Carl
that.
Douglas. I mean, you've got to play kung fu fighting. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's a given. I want to talk about very quickly here. Coming up after the news, we'll have Fox News and SuperTalk Mississippi News at the top of the hour, as we always do. And then Leah Ferretti, the director of Mississippi Ready, is going to join us. Before we get there, let's just quickly delve into the topic of artificial intelligence. You know, we got data centers coming here. This is important to Mississippi. It's important to everybody. Two things. Number one, Pope Leo has made an address, did it yesterday, to the clergy of the Diocese of Rome, demanding that the priests stop using AI to write their sermons. This isn't a rumor. He fussed at them in an address yesterday in the Vatican City to stop using AI to write their sermons. And he said that priests were doing it to try to get views on TikTok. This is the planet we live on now, Lance. But then that one's just kind of amusing to me. That's almost like an inter-office memo in a big organization. The boss said, stop doing that. Okay, that's fine. Did you hear what Burger King is doing?
I have no idea. I love a good chicken sandwich there, the original.
Well, this is going to sound, maybe it's just me, this sounds dystopian. See if you agree. Burger King has introduced an AI chatbot into its restaurants for the employees. It's named Patty because, of course, it is. And it's in the headsets that the employees wear to correct data and point out to them if they don't use things that sound friendly. Keywords include welcome, please, and thank you. And if you don't say it enough, you're going to get called into a meeting. It's hard to put your finger on exactly why, but this sounds absolutely horrific to me.
I mean, it reminds me, as you drive up to almost every, to-go drive-through now, they have the initial do you want to use your mobile app to order? And I'm like, no, I'm right here, man. You know, and it's a recording. You know, it's not them there, but you're going, why would I want to use my mobile app while I'm actually sitting here talking to you? Have we gotten to that point where we don't even want to communicate directly with someone through a speaker? You're like, no. Let me use my mobile app instead. So, yeah, we're making things extremely complicated, it seems.
But in this case, if you go and you get a job at Burger King, once this is fully implemented, there is going to be an artificial intelligence named Patty in your ear listening to everything you say to customers, how you say it. And I'm sorry, we're starting with keywords. If you think this isn't going to devolve into judging you and grading your tone of voice, you
have a
are not
social
paying
score.
attention.
You'll have a social score within your company now.
Yes.
And that'll have a lot to do with how you get. And is that performance-based or is that just snooping?
It's currently being piloted in 500 of their restaurants.
I can say I think I've been to one that's using it because I've noticed a noticeable change in the tone of some of the younger employees. And most of your managers seem to kind of get that, whether it's at McDonald's or Wendy's or that. But, you know, as you get to the younger ones that are more transient, aren't there as often, maybe. I've noticed at Burger King that there has been a change there in tone, you know, and how they communicate.
Do you know who has no problem in this area and doesn't use AI? They just
Chick-fil-A?
use management techniques and proper hiring practices. Chick-fil-A. Yeah. You go there. That is the most. They're so polite, it's almost creepy. What? They are so nice when you go through there.
Yeah, well, I mean, the ABC probably ought to, take some notes.
That's not their problem. The ABC, it's, you're talking about the difference between, we're discussing dealing with customers. You're talking about inventory control. It's two separate issues.
But they got customers. I worked with them. It was terrible when I had to deal with them for 5 or 6 years. And the system's slow. It's inefficient. And it takes way too much time for a retailer, a restaurant owner, to sit there and order something.
I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. I'll continue saying it. The state has no business being in the liquor business.
Boom! There we go.
Sorry.
Yeah, you and me both. Yeah, $120 million is what they cleared last year off of the liquor business.
That's fine, but I think we're getting a great case study in why we shouldn't be involved in it at the state level right now.
Amen, brother.
News on the way this hour of mornings brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Go to MWGEmployerServices.com to find out more. News is next. And then, well, we're going to get ready.
Get the inside track on Mississippi politics. Yeah! Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Wake me up before you go. Is that what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
I would assume.
I'm going to ask this. Every time I play this song, I have to ask, and I'm not going to give the answer for a couple minutes. It was a duo. Wham.
No idea. Andrew something. Andrew Ridgely.
There you go. Thank you.
Andrew Ridgely.
You got it, man. After 2 years of asking, I think somebody finally heard me.
Yes. It was a duo. George Michael and
Andrew Ridgely. You're right.
That was like we also at one point had the wonderful, extremely multi-talented Daryl Hall.
Oh, yeah.
And also Oates.
Yeah, nobody knows what happened to Oates. Honey Bunches of Oats.
Oates, Oates went home and spent his money waiting for Hall's money to run out so they could get back together and do another album.
At 80. Yeah, at 80 years old.
Yeah, why not? It's never too late,
Keep
right?
Keep on rocking, baby. Hey, one piece of information I wanted to just throw out there for you. I'm always fascinated at television ratings and stuff.
Yeah.
If you look at The View, which is a terrible show, and I don't see how anybody could watch it. It's just a bunch of cutting in and interruptions and all that. But about 2 million viewers is what they average. Jimmy Kimmel, about 2 million viewers. Colbert was about 2 million viewers. All of them have about 170,000 to 200,000 in that 18 to 49 demographic. So think about it. I mean, those are hit shows. 2 million people.
Yeah.
Out of 340 million Americans watch that. And those are called hits. Those are, yeah, I mean, really? I mean, you know, that's a very low percentage of people actually consuming that, but you would think that's the voice of America.
Because they're telling you it is.
There you go, brother.
Right now, well, let's focus on something else for a moment, and that's this legislative session, what we have going on as we work our way through it, and what we have to look forward to before we get to the end. And to help us do that, we have the director of Mississippi Ready, Miss Leah Ferretti, joining us. Leah, is Leah with us?
Hold on just a second.
Okay. You got to flip the switch and hit the button, and then things work
just
better.
A second. I'm losing my brain here. Hold on just a second.
Yes.
Where's my shot at?
It's okay. We'll get there. We still have things working their way through the legislature that could have a huge impact on education in Mississippi, and there are some things that probably should get even more play than they have. And now I think we're ready to go. I think all the switches and buttons are flipped and pushed and everything. And now we're joined by the director of Mississippi Ready, Leah Ferretti. How you doing this morning, Leah?
Good morning, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Hadn't talked to you in a few weeks.
It's been a minute, hasn't it?
Yeah. What's your mood at? Let's take your temperature. What's your mood regarding this session of the Mississippi legislature in regards to achieving some things for education in the state? What are your feelings?
Well, ultimately, I think we could be in a lot better position than we are. I think a few things have happened that are very disappointing to families. But, you know, as the session goes, nothing's dead until it's dead. So there's still hope, but there's still other methods out there, and hopeful that a special session can be called.
Well, and when you say disappointing for families, it jumped to my mind. I know the telepathic connection is strong today, Leah, because we were both thinking about school choice. I know what that was about, and that's the kind of the discussion still, isn't it?
It is. And so, you know, this year we were very hopeful and still hopeful. But out the gate, you know, the Senate passed some form of school choice, very limited, but the House passed an amazing omnibus bill that was the Education Freedom Act. And it was disappointing that it wasn't even heard on the other side of the hall, and it's unfortunate that that's where a good bill went to die. And but there's still hope, and I know families around the state. Dave, I travel all across the state. I am meeting with mamas at their dining room tables. I'm speaking to civic organizations, and ultimately, the majority of Mississippi families want education freedom. You know, there was a poll that came out, I think in January, that stated that 81 to 90% of Mississippi families agree that families should choose and not the government of where their children should go to school. Tell me what entity or what poll has ever favored that much for anything, and to see that families, the statistics are there, that families want it. I am hearing families say they want it. Our lawmakers are hearing families. And it's kind of weird to me that some lawmakers are listening and some are not. And that is very disappointing.
Well, and we have gotten proof over the years. I'm just going to say this. The easiest way to get nothing done is to put Republicans 100% in control across the board, apparently. I'm judging that by results, not by logic and the way it should work, because we have had a Republican supermajority for a while, and it just seems like pushing that stone up the hill to get anything across the finish line. It feels like we've had a lot of great accomplishments, don't get me wrong, but it just seems like every year we have something that it's a bitter fight, and the Democrats are sitting over on the side just kind of smirking about it because they're not the problem. What do we do to get past this?
That's a great question. So, 79% of Republican voters support school choice, 79%. So, and it's also part of the Republican Party's platform, not just nationally, but our state platform. And you've seen endorsement from the Mississippi Federation of Republican Women as well. So I don't think it's all Republicans. I think there's a small pocket, and that small pocket are listening to an echo chamber and are going with the status quo. And I think because our numbers are on our side, families are speaking up and pushing. And you're going to see changes. You're going to see changes because families are tired of not being listened to. And, those real decisions are being made every day. And life is hard as it is. And families should not have any other hardships put on them. And school and where their children are educated should be the easiest of all choices.
But the problem is, and the objections, you've heard them. We've talked about them before, you and I. It's going to hurt some school districts. It's going to impact and have budgetary concerns. It's going to affect performance. Those don't really hold the water they are represented as holding, do they?
Absolutely not. When someone tells me that, or like, this is going to upend public education. My children are in public schools. There's no state that has universal school choice or any robust school choice, more so than Mississippi, where public education is upended. There are studies that prove that, if anything, it betters public education. A rising tide lifts all ships, and school choice isn't the enemy by any measure.
Well, and my personal opinion, and I've stated this before, if school choice causes an exodus from a school district to the point to where it impacts its ability to exist, well, I'm not really sure that's a negative outcome.
And that's a bigger issue than school choice. And sometimes that accountability needs to be taken into account. And, what does accountability look like? Accountability is if I can vote with my feet, if I can physically leave somewhere, that is true accountability.
Well, we have in the business world in America, we have laws against having a monopoly where you don't have a choice. You take this or you don't get it at all. That's your only two choices. But in education, it seems to be a different situation, but it's not. It's kind of the same thing, exactly what you were just talking about.
Well, the monopoly exists only in K-12 education. So you have more options of flexibility in early childhood, and you have so many options in institutions of higher learning. So you could take a Pell Grant and you could go to a private university. You can go to a public university. The government doesn't tell you, you can only take these dollars and go to this school that's closer to you. And we've talked about this before, Dave. If we told families that, okay, you can only go to this doctor that's closest to you, you can only go to this grocery store closest to you, we would have a war. We would have a war. And why is it okay that we do that in education?
Well, I go back to what you were saying just a moment ago at all the other states, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think most of the states surrounding Mississippi have some form of school choice either in place or in the works, right?
Every single state around us has robust school choice, except Mississippi, which is really sad because we actually led our region in school choice, and we just stopped. We just paused. But I do think we're in a unique situation where we have seen other states that have done this. We have seen what they haven't done right and what should be improved on. And that was the results of House Bill 2. And so it was unfortunate to see that it didn't get as much traction as it did, but we're not giving up.
Well, if we have the evidence of all the states around us, it did not negatively impact the public school system at all. By using that as an excuse, what we're saying is, oh, don't worry, Mississippi can mess up anything that everybody else is doing just fine. I'm not sure that's a winning argument. We've got Leah Ferretti with us with Mississippi Ready. Can you stick around through the break?
I sure can.
I don't think I've set myself up for enough angry emails yet, so we'll continue when we come back.
From the Venable Glass
Keeping Mississippi in the know, one morning at a time. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Dave Hughes, Leah Ferretti with us, and I want to tell you something. A lovely human being. She could have done anything with her life and been a screaming success at it, but no, she decided to beat her head against a brick wall and open a nonprofit to help education in Mississippi, and she deserves all of our thanks for that. So thank you.
Oh my goodness, Dave, you're going to make me cry this morning. Thank you. I think it's, our job as Christians to discern where we're being led, and that's all we can do is just, hopefully we're hearing where God is calling us. And, without a doubt, this was God's journey and his plan for me to, give me that baby that had a dyslexia diagnosis with no other choices. And I remember walking around, we were on the walking trail at Delta State, and I was reading Overcoming Dyslexia by Sally Shaywitz, and I was talking to my husband. I'm like, this is bigger than us. This is so bigger than us. And I told him, I was like, I don't know where I'm being called to, but I do feel very strongly that I'm being called to advocate, and here we are.
Well, and that's the thing, and you point out a great example, having a child with dyslexia, not a life-ending diagnosis. Let's be clear about that right up front, but it can be a life-changing diagnosis unless they get the proper care and education, which brings us right back neatly to the school choice, because not all, as much as we might want to believe otherwise, not all school districts are created equally. There aren't enough experts to go around to have one in everything that we need an expert in every school district. Some school districts are just better equipped and better suited than others to deal with students that have special needs and requirements to get a quality education. That's kind of your mission, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I think that all children, not some children, deserve access to an education that meets their unique needs. I mean, a child could be in a great school or in a great school district. My child was in a great school. They just couldn't meet him where he needed to be. And that's okay. Then let me go and find somewhere else that can help us. And that is what school choice is about. That's what education freedom is about. And that's how Mississippi Ready was born, out of the need to amplify families and amplify parent voices and to educate families. So there wasn't one place for families to go to that let them know what choices were out there. I was a teacher. I went to school to be a teacher. I taught in both public and private schools, and I didn't know that school choice was a thing. I didn't know that was even an option as an educator. And I felt like when I found out this information that the blindfold was taken off, that I was just given this key to so much information that families should have a choice. They should have freedom. And, of course, MVE wasn't going to give us this information on what choices were out there, more or less how to navigate that. So Mississippi Ready is the parent voice for parent choice. And we are a resource for families across our state, not only to educate them, but to amplify their voices.
Let's go off into a little bit of a less beaten trail territory here. And I'm springing off of something you said, so if this goes horribly wrong, it's your fault. But I'm always ready to assign blame, Leah. It's just the way it works.
That's okay.
As a teacher, you've got that on your resume. Part of the thing with school choice, as you said, every student should be able to be enrolled in a school district that meets their specific needs. And we're not talking about just students that have dyslexia or have some other learning disability or some challenges. To me, one of the worst things that happened to education over the decades was increasing, in some cases doubling the class size and making it less individual, the educational standards, because every child is different. Every child is not going to learn at the same level, at the same rate, and they're not going to get the same thing if you just give them all the same material. And this kind of helps with that too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So overall, education has been in this industrialized model. And I feel like as a society, as a country, we've been trying so hard to get out of this model. And how do we get out of it? Innovation. As a teacher, my hands were tied in the classroom. There was only so much I could say. There was only so much I could do. And even though I knew where my students needed to be and I knew what they needed, I couldn't always give that to them because I didn't have the freedom and flexibility to educate them how I saw fit as a teacher.
To me, it's kind of like the situation where who do you want deciding on the treatment for what's wrong with you? The doctor or some panel somewhere that's going to meet next month? That's kind of the situation that we have with education in a way. We have made strides. Let's give credit where it's due and brag.
We have. Oh, my goodness, yes. And, when the rest of the country shut down for COVID and didn't see their students, and when the rest of the country was using a whole language approach to teach reading instead of phonics, Mississippi got it right. We got it right. And school choice is a small part of that puzzle to keep getting it right and to keep moving forward. Because I remember I was one of those teachers that got those emails when the third grade GATE initiative was passed. I remember being told, if you teach third grade, you might lose your job if your third graders fail. And I think it was quoted in the Clarion Ledger by the Superintendents Association that 38% of the Superintendents Association stated that 38% of third graders in Mississippi were going to fail, that we were setting our students up for failure. Do you know how many actually failed?
How many?
8%. And those students got to, and they got to retake it. So that shows me that the administrators didn't have faith in me as a teacher. They didn't have faith in our students to perform, and we just got better from there. And so, we're talking about teachers and teachers' hands that are tied. We know that majority of funding for education doesn't go to the teachers. And I think I've told you this story before. When I left the classroom, my husband got a U-Haul trailer, came to my classroom to move me out. And he looked around and he's like, hold on. Who owns all this stuff? He's like, please tell me we don't. I'm like, actually, we do, because I would spend what I could out of my meager paycheck to be able to give my students what they needed. And we've got to do better about getting money to the classroom. We've got to get it to our teachers, and we've got to get it to our students.
I just want to say, and this was such it's scary to me that we're calling going back 20 years an advancement, but it was. A whole language reading was one of the dumbest ideas I've ever seen. I'm just going to put it like that.
It's about as dumb as an open concept school, if you've ever seen those. I think those were popular in the 70s, where there were no walls, there were just city walls, and the theory was, if a child can hear what's going on in this classroom, they're going to just soak it in like a sponge. Well, that we created more students with attention deficit.
Yes, you can't focus. You can't concentrate in that situation. But that is something that Mississippi got 100% right. Went back to phonics. You know why? Well, I'll use myself as an example. Hooked on Phonics worked for me and millions of other people because it works. We went back to that. Look at the results. They're still talking about us in the national media because it was such a stunning turnaround. We have the opportunity to lead the way in other areas as well, which is kind of the point of this conversation, isn't it, Leah?
Yes, it is. But Dave, I'm hopeful at the end of the day, it's not a matter of if anymore, it's when. Education freedom is here. Parents want it. And, we have all this economic development in the state of Mississippi. And I want my children to stay in the state of Mississippi. I want them to raise my grandchildren in Mississippi. We have to have school choice as part of that conversation because, I don't know if you've seen, I think it's Arkansas. They are the number one state where people are moving into because of school choice. And we don't want families leaving. We want families coming here. And we have to have school choice in order to make that happen.
I want you to notice the enlightened self-interest here. Her main motivation for this is she wants to rock her grandbabies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Isn't that the whole point of being a parent, is that you get to be a grandparent one day?
Well, I want to tell you how important that is to your message, because the easiest way for me and a lot of other people to get me to trust and believe in what you're saying is to let me know what's in it for you. Because there's always something in it for whoever's arguing for something. For you is little baby feet and rocking the little baby. Yeah, okay, I'm in. You sold me. I'm in.
Yes, and Dave, and school choice worked for my family. And people will say, well, where does it work? I'm like, under this roof right here. It has worked for all three of my children because I was able to exercise education freedom in a very limited capacity but it works, and it worked for my family. And I want all Mississippi families to have that same access and opportunity that my children have.
Leah Ferretti, the director of Mississippi Ready, doing the good work out there. When you see her, buy her donuts for her or something. I don't know, because she deserves it. She's earned it. Keep us up to date. We'll check in with you again by the end of the session and see where we're standing then. I always enjoy talking to you. Thank you so much.
Same. Have a fabulous weekend.
You too. We continue with the last half hour of mornings here on SuperTalk Mississippi right after this. Keep it here.
She whispered in my ear something crazy. She said, "Still wine, take that girl. Still wine, take that girl."
Know where the news is going next. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank, where they are here for every part of your financial journey. If you're looking to manage your personal finances, they have banking services that make it simple, secure, and tailored to you. If you're ready to grow your business, they offer expert guidance and custom solutions to help your business thrive. If you're dreaming of a new home, they have mortgage specialists to make the process seamless. All of it is designed with you in mind. They're more than just a bank. They're your partner for life's biggest moments at Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC, equal housing lender. I want to take just a moment. Something that happened yesterday. I'm speaking to you from the SuperTalk Pike County studio. That's where I do mornings from every Friday. That studio is located inside the Workforce Training Center on the campus of Southwest Mississippi Community College. Absolutely stunningly beautiful building. The staff, I've known most of them for 20, 30 years or longer in some cases. Great folks. Well, yesterday they had the governor's job fair. These don't get a ton of attention for whatever reason, and I want to talk about this because this is a win. They had yesterday, and I actually went and did an hour show from there yesterday from the job fair. I had to walk down the hall to do a remote broadcast, Lance. It was taxing. I had to go take a nap. But went in there, and just to watch it unfold, of course, I talked to everybody from Southwest about what was going on. And this is called the Governor's Job Fair because these are put on all over the state at workforce training centers to bring employers and people who need a job together. Now, yesterday we had, I believe it was 34 businesses here, and they were all over the board, the businesses that showed up. Everything from banking to healthcare to construction to industrial tech. You name it. It was here. We had over 200 people show up and get into serious conversations about a job yesterday. And now this was not an all-day event. Started at 9, ended at 1. It was 4 hours. They always have rooms set up to the side. I'm speaking, of course, about this one because it's the one I'm familiar with. I see it every year. They have rooms set up to the side where employers, if somebody comes through and they really like them, well, come with me. Let's go in here and talk for a minute. Every year we have people from these job fairs all over the state that show up with their resume and they leave with a start date. They get hired right there. That is such a fantastic program, and it's the kind of thing that we don't focus on enough. It's a lot more fun to focus on the bad stuff and the arguments and the disagreements and the things we're not doing right. But sometimes we're doing things right, and that's one of them. And I want to make sure that we give attention to it. Not just this one, but again, it's all over the state. They're all really good. They're just not as good as the one that we have here because I'm a homer. That's who I am as a person. Never going to change my mind on that, but they are all fantastic events. And keep your eye out if you have one coming to your area of the state and you or someone you know needs a job, make plans to be there. And follow the Tampa International Airport rules and dress for success. Did you see about that story?
Yeah, no jammies or Crocs.
Yes, they issued a thing saying they were banning people wearing Crocs in the airport and banning people showing up in pajamas.
Well, the pajamas one, it's one of those, you're like, yeah, I guess that's just the world we live in now, You can go, people used to fly in suits.
Yes.
We're down to jammies now. What's next?
Here's my question, though. People used to fly in suits. That's true. People used to do everything in suits. They go to the park on their
around on that.
No, but they did.
Yeah, they did.
They actually did. Yeah. And we had
they worked out in suits.
It was who was it? I forget now, but it was a member of Congress who said we needed to go back to requiring by law people to wear suits and dress to that level to use the airports and show it the respect it deserves.
Okay.
And here's my question.
Everybody coming from all over the world, you're going to make them put on a suit, huh?
Here's my question, though. And we keep losing sight of this. What we were talking about with Leah with the swap from whole language reading teaching back to phonics because we knew it worked. And sure enough, we've proven once again here in Mississippi that it works. And I have a saying on my local show I do during the week. We don't go by process. We go by results. I don't care what the process is if we get the desired result. We were not getting the desired result with the previous reading teaching method in the state of Mississippi. We swapped the process, and now we're getting the result we want. What's the expected result we're trying to get by saying we want everybody to dress better to go to the airport? What's the benefit we're going to get from that? We don't use this as a measure to judge anything. And I'm sorry, you'll feel better is not a result. It's not. So
Your
what's
feelings.
the result? This is the yardstick we need to use to measure everything. We just had that conversation with Leah about school choice. What's the result we're looking for? Every student to get the best education possible. Okay, you've got a result there that you're going for.
Well, you're going to step on a lot of feelings in that process.
Good.
Yeah, exactly.
And I say that quickly and clearly. And you know why? Because I'm a jerk. But I'm a jerk that believes in doing things that get the results you're trying to get, not doing things to make sure everybody agrees with what we think. I don't care.
I think that's a good point, though. And
when the building's on fire, you don't hold a vote to see if the majority wants to get out.
Well, I have this conversation with Richard. He's a sports guy by trade originally, and has transformed himself into much more multifaceted as far as
he's still a sports guy and a damn fine one too.
No,
I'll say
he's
that.
added another feather to his extremely and phenomenally talented cap.
Yes.
And it was, I like to tell him, when I played sports, or in the way I see the world. And I want our listeners to understand this, because I don't come from a place of being difficult or trying to, step on feelings. I don't care about the feelings. I care about winning and doing it the right way. And as an ex-athlete, I never went out on a field and said, all right, let's just score 7 runs. No, you want to score 1,000. You want the team you're playing to be beat into submission. So when they show back up the next time, they bring a lunch and they're ready. That competition has maybe raised their level of play. And on our side, if we decide to take it easy on somebody because that process makes them feel better, well, what good are we doing ourselves? So
Exactly.
to me, it's beat them as bad as you can, and I don't care about your feelings. It's not sportsmanship. It's the game you're playing. And an opponent, in this case, say reading, or whatever opponent it is, you have to have a process, like you said, that gets the result you want. But at the same time, if the process isn't getting the same or the result you want, you've got to be capable of adapting. You've got to change. And you've got to do that quickly.
That's why a team that's losing can fire their coach, bring in a new coach with different processes, and all of a sudden, you're winning.
With the same people, right.
You change the results. We do not use this as a measure for a lot of things these days.
Well,
we're told something's great. Okay, what are we going to get out of it? Well, I told you it's going to be great. Well, that doesn't help anybody.
Well, and I hate the 10-run rule or, calling a game or whatever. And it kind of carries over to what we're talking about. You want to win at the highest level possible. We don't want to win some. We want to win big.
100-2 is a really scary baseball score, but if that's the way it plays out, that's the way it plays out.
That's right. You go give it your all, 100%, do the best you can, and that should be the way we do it in life. You give it your best, and the results will speak for themselves in most cases, because hopefully the process that allowed you to be your best isn't flawed. And if it is, you figure out where the flaw is, you remove it, and move on. And
how do you know if you've removed the flaw, if you've fixed the problems in the process, if you've got everything going in the right direction? By the results.
There you go. Yes, sir.
That's what we should judge everything by. That is the ultimate judge. What results are you getting? What results are you trying to get? When do you expect to get them by? And then when that time comes, say, do we have the results? Oh, well, we got to go back and re-examine how we're going about this then.
But where
we don't do that.
Yeah, but where do the feelings come in? Where do the emotions and the polarization of that? Where are those in this process?
Did you know that I really think we need to fund a scientific study to determine if participation trophies are insertable?
I'm good. I love a free ring, a free pewter ring for coming in 8th at a tournament. Yeah.
Put it like this: we've got Mississippi State, Ole Miss, USM, Delta State. We've got great baseball programs across the state.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If at the end of the year we just decided everybody got a championship ring because they tried, how many of them would chunk it in the garbage as they were walking out of the ceremony?
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Because it would be meaningless.
Meaningless, right.
Final break. I'm turning my email off again this weekend, by the way, just to warn you in advance so you can save the angry emails. I don't care. Final break. We'll wrap this up. Hopefully I can find something a bit more cheerful to talk about when we come back on Super Talk Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass.
No filibuster. Just everything you need to know to start your day smarter. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Went to the doctor to check out what's matter.
I would argue with that sting that brought us back in. There is a filibuster, but it's a talking filibuster. That's why we get paychecks.
Yes, sir.
If this were a silent filibuster, well, I'd be better rested, but it wouldn't be nearly as entertaining.
Hey, we
guess.
Also get a paycheck quicker this month.
Yes, I got a lot of February.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, chopping 3 days off of that pay period, we could deal with that.
That's big time, buddy.
A couple of things. I just want to do a little smorgasbord right here at the end.
I haven't heard that word in a while. That's a good one. It's not used enough.
Yeah. And I almost broke into my full Swedish chef voice to say it. Jackson City Council approved the new police chief.
Yay.
Rachel Brackney. The one vote against her, it's a 6-1 vote that happened. The one vote against her was Ward 1 Councilman Ashby Foote, who said she was too well educated and charming.
We had Ashby on Tuesday on Mary's show, and he's always such a great guest to have. So very informative.
He's a character, I think is the word that you're looking for.
Yeah, great guy. Been doing it a while, smart fella, and usually gives us a lot of good stuff about what's going on, what he can share, and he felt that she would be confirmed, but didn't really know, obviously, until the meeting would happen.
Yeah, exactly. One thing to put on your radar, this is not like the penguin eclipse that we had a week or two ago where, the eclipse is going to get us all. It was only in Antarctica that they could see it. That was the only place it happened. This is going to cover the entire country to one extent or another. Monday night, the moon's going to turn red for about an hour.
Nice. Back in the old days, that was a bad omen if you were on your way to war or something.
Yeah, and we're going to be starting the month of March Again, the whole in like a lamb, out like a lion, in like a lion, out like a lamb. What does it mean when you get the omen of a blood red moon? What's Mars doing? Where is it at? Is Mercury in the Gatorade? I need to know all of these things so that we can make our preparations appropriately. But that is going to happen. It's going to be visible from coast to coast. The entire continental U.S. Is going to see the red moon Monday night into Tuesday morning. It's going to be late Monday night.
Man, I took 2 years of astronomy to do the science part in college, and the math part of it too, I think, was attributable. But I just don't remember there being as many celestial events that were publicized. Maybe it's the internet that gets it out there. I don't know, but as a kid, those things were like, wow, an eclipse is happening. Goodness gracious. This didn't seem to be so regular. But
I remember there was an eclipse when I was in school. I was, I think, in junior high at that point. And it was coming up, and the science teacher made sure everybody knew, and we all made pinhole cameras so we could see it. But there were a bunch of us that were hard-headed, stubborn, and stupid, and that's why I wear glasses to this day, because, if you squint hard enough, it's kind of like a pinhole camera, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're exactly right. We're having the planetary alignment happening tonight, where all 6 of the visible planets to the naked eye are going to line up in a perfect line, and they say it's a very rare celestial event. It won't happen again until 2040. That's in 14 years.
That's not that rare, and as Thomas says, beware of the Ides of March.
Yes, the Ides of March, where the moon will drip blood on you. It's not what you're looking for out of life. Yeah, we're getting signs and portents every 5 minutes, it seems, right now.
Yes.
And have been for a while. So keep that in mind.
At least we knew the Mayan calendar was wrong, right? I mean,
yeah, so far as we know.
Yeah, so far. There may be another ring on this thing that we weren't aware of.
I think we're missing the obvious answer on the Mayan calendar, which, as you know, was carved into a big stone cylinder, basically, but a wheel.
So, as we finish this week, is there any conspiracy stories? Because you and I are very similar, and we love digging around. Is there anything that's hit you lately that you're going, okay, this is interesting?
By the end of this year or the start of next year, apparently a spaceship the size of a planet is going to pull up and parallel park next to Earth, and they're going to come down and go knock it off.
Was it District 9, the movie?
Yeah.
Sharlto Copley? Yeah, a bunch of very impoverished aliens or something get left.
But my favorite right now story is the one where they say that currently at a military base in Miami, they have alien visitors who are there. They're not captive. They're just keeping them protected. And their ship is currently hovering over the Gulf of Mexico, cloaked.
Okay. I got you.
And they are here to offer help and promote peace, which means we're probably only about a week away from finding out what they taste like.
They'll be assigned to the Democrats quickly.
Yeah. How do they count in the immigration numbers?
I have no idea, but maybe they can teach them how to smile.
Considering half of Congress looks like alien creatures because they've aged out of humanity, it couldn't hurt.
We'd always have a blast with you on Fridays, man. I hope you have a great weekend.
I do, too. And you have yourself a wonderful time. Enjoy yourself. Get ready for the bloody moon on Monday. And
I'll wear my tin full.
Next week, we'll get together at 6:06 and talk about another week's worth of catastrophes here on the show. You have a good weekend. You stay safe. Next Friday, we do it again, my friend. I'll see you then.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.